Simon, how about you give us a short self-introduction?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Simon Aidney. I made the documentary on school called Society's Most Broken Machine. And I'm an advocate for basically full school reform, just abolishing the current system and replacing it. And yeah, I also do 3D modeling, 3D rendering, and music production, and a bunch of other various related topics as well.
Um, do you still what kind of reform do you want?
So basically, I think we definitely need to get rid of just kind of the whole current structure and replace it with something where kids are like going to still a centralized location. I think is fine. Like I think we should provide an opportunity for kids to still go to an area with lots of other kids, so like socializing happens. And then you have, let me see if I can pull up I have my documentary script open here. I'll find my solution section. Yeah, so basically everyone would be provided with a lot of resources on various topics. So now that we have the internet, it's way easier to provide people with tons of resources and provide them in a easy to sort through way. Like even just Wikipedia is great by itself, but you can add a lot of other things onto that. And then you give them a lot of free time to kind of go through these resources and be able to do projects on their own. Obviously, I have not done like studies on the most effective things, so definitely I would have to read more studies and I think more studies would need to be done to make sure like you're getting the most out of the time and making people motivated to do things themselves, but should all be self-directed. And the only thing that would necessarily maybe be mandatory, I was thinking you could have people sit in on like some sort of things providing new topics that they could get interested in, just so they are aware that certain topics exist that they might want to get interested in. But basically very free form, putting a lot more trust in students, because I think we don't put enough trust in students right now. And if we did put more trust in them, they'd behave in a responsible manner anyway, because they would know that they're being trusted. Same thing with like playgrounds and whatnot. Is if you have a super safe playground, then actually I think I saw that in your channel as well earlier, one of the channels in the server earlier. But yeah, if you have a super safe playground, people are gonna try doing dangerous things on the playground anyway, which makes them more dangerous than if you have a somewhat dangerous playground. Then people will treat the playground with respect and not like do dangerous things on it. So yeah, just very open and kind of free learning type deal.
Okay, when I was watching your documentary, I think I agreed with all the prompts you were naming, and all the things you realize. For instance, that self-directed learning is better than compulsory learning. That you learn better when you have intrinsic motivation. That kids are able to do intellectual work on their own, and that the homework they do are not really useful. But where I think I had a bit of the disagreement is when you started talking about the solution, because in some sense, free learning is learning without any kind of coercion or even without any kind of system. You just do what you feel is the most interesting thing. And I feel any attempt at a solution, for instance, you mentioned maybe do lots of high quality videos, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel it should be the kids themselves that decide the solution and what they want to watch. Maybe they don't want to watch a high quality video and
That's true. Yeah. I would agree with you there. I would say I was just kind of thinking, I guess, in that when I was saying it, like high quality videos are, I know a lot of people want to watch those because that's what you have on like lots of YouTube channels, educational YouTube channels. Obviously, they can't go super in depth on topics, but their videos are just so much higher quality than any videos you see in school. That so many people, millions of people watch them. So I would say videos are important, but yeah, also it should be text resources and all the just a big catalog of resources. So not specifically saying these are the videos in the curriculum, you have to watch these. It just, if we could put some of the funding currently spent towards other things, or some of the companies that are currently in charge of like making other resources and textbooks and stuff, could redivert those resources into making things such as these high quality videos, or to funding teams that do that. So definitely not just a set curriculum of videos. Just, I think it'd be nice if we could produce more of these videos, especially videos that go more in depth into topics, because on YouTube people are paid for making like kind of introductory videos to topics, because that's what gets views. And if it's too in depth, then people kind of won't. If it's like an hour long super in-depth high quality video, people won't watch that as much. So it'd be good to get some sort of external funding from that, so you can still have high quality content, um, but it's not just funded by people watching it in the first place. So yeah, definitely not just videos. And I agree with you that it should be free, and not like specifically you have to watch videos to go through the topics you're interested in. I guess it would be both, but yeah, I was talking about freedom there. I think it should also be free in cost as well.
That reminds me of something that already exists. It's a library.
That's
There is
true.
a high quality videos and books, etc., and computers.
That's true. Yeah, libraries are great. Expanding libraries to have more like more resources, like tools and like physical tools for like work and whatnot, would also be great. Like kind of lending more stuff out in libraries is something that's always good to do, I think.
Um, these are the maker labs. I think there are organizations that try to give like as cheap as possible, but think that you can make science self-directedly, like making little robots or discovering stuff, but like with very cheap tools, so it can be accessible for any school or library or lab in the world.
Yeah, that sounds great. We have close to me, I think we have a thing called Tinker Lab, but I'm unsure how cheap or expensive it is. But it is one of those, like, it's a subscription service, and then you go in and then you can make things with all their tools and stuff in there. Yeah, it's like that, except it's um see, I don't even know if this is the right the right website. I think this is a just a separate a thing. But it's, yeah, here it's like kind of like a community workspace. So there's a bunch of different people that like a bunch of people in the area at once. It's not just you in the lab, but then there's like um 3D printers and stuff. It's more for making things rather than like research. Like I don't think they have like any lab equipment, but yeah, still fun.
And how do we prevent kids that are completely free from falling in addictive behaviors such as gaming and phones, etc.?
I think there would still be people who would kind of moderate it, like kind of like teachers, more like assistant learners, so they could help encourage people. And I don't really know an exact answer. I think we would definitely have to try it. I know at Sudbury schools, which are kind of, or they're pretty much like free learning. You have students that do end up getting like playing a lot of games for like a few, like a full school year or whatever, but then they at some point find the other stuff more interesting. So I think it's kind of in moderation. Like we shouldn't completely ban games from being something that you can do at like an educational thing, because some games are definitely educational. It's just you have to make people, you have to put some sort of, and once again, I don't really know how it would work, but some sort of either more incentive. Maybe the things are just interesting enough that people wouldn't want to play games. That's kind of my case. Like I still play games a bunch of the time, but like it's kind of, I do more not game stuff now than I do game stuff. And I think a lot of the reason why is when I started doing unschooling, then I did not have like, I no longer felt tired and like completely out of energy and just wanted to play games at the end of the day. I instead felt like I had energy to do creative things. So I think it would definitely need more research though. Or I mean, there's probably already research, but I do not know said research at the moment. Part of it, yeah. I would say definitely I was physically tired a bit, but mostly for those situations, because I did go to sleep at a pretty. I didn't have much homework because I did do a lot of it at school. Um, and I know that I was also like faster at homework than other people, just because of the way I did it. But I don't think that's a reasonable expectation to have for people. Um, but yeah, I was mainly like tired from just doing all of the work the whole day, and like I did not have any like will to do creative stuff at the end. Except I guess I did creative stuff in games sometimes, but I didn't want to do like I didn't want to make music generally, or I didn't want to like do art stuff because I just felt too tired to do that.
I don't view games as that negative in my case. The reason I speak good English is because I played a lot of video games and I
Hmm.
watch a lot of TV. And
Yeah, there's a lot of really good games for learning things. Like a lot of my space knowledge came from Kerbal Space Program, which I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but it's like very good. Um, so yeah, that's kind of gave me like I played that pretty young, so yeah, I have more intuitive understanding of like orbital mechanics while not knowing exactly like what exactly how to do all the equations and whatnot. I kind of know how it works ish, which I think is more important because then need to if I ever need to find out something or do like some sort of equation on orbital mechanics, then I will know at least the terms and that it exists and that I can look it up and find an answer. And I think that's another thing I think is important is a lot of school right now is teaching everybody everything at once, like trying to say, all right, everyone's going to learn math and everyone's going to learn English and stuff. And to a basic level, that's all right. Like you should get to a basic level in all these topics. However, when you start getting stuff that you use less and less frequently in your outside life, then you kind of have to find the thing you want to specialize in and then start learning for that rather than learning everything up to like I think like after you get past middle school and even before middle school, honestly, like I guess it depends on what math class you're in. I was in a higher math class, so I had more stuff, but for math stuff, I hardly ever use anything past just the four basic operations, and um, I don't really use like quadratic equations or anything in my work that I like doing, and it's like I like to know that they exist so I can look them up and find out how to do them. Um, but I don't think I necessarily needed to memorize how to do them. I just need to know that I can look up how to do them and then figure it out from there. So I like learning as you go more than learning everything at the beginning and then trying to apply it to things after.
um, but the point could be made that the kind of math you've learned doesn't even come from school because you learn a quadratic equation, perhaps you forget it, and then you say these four basic equations, these are the ones you use. So, so the things you use, you will learn anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I did learn like the four basic things at school. Like I didn't do those at home just because you're at school for most of your waking hours as a child. But um, yeah, I think anything new I need to learn, I can learn it fairly easily, and I'm not as long as you know how to learn things, then you can go and learn things as long as you know they exist. So I think that is one thing I think is important is people should still be exposed to things that exist. Like this is a topic that you can look into uh, and you know that the topic exists because otherwise you don't really know where to start. So that's one thing I think is still good to expose kids to, even if they're um, not necessarily going to be using those things. Um, but it'd be very quick. You just be like, this is something you can do. Well, not necessarily like this. Definitely not the standard sense of taught as a school. But for example, if I know concept of what quadratic equations were and what they're useful for, then if I found something that required that, if it didn't say that it required it, like if it said this problem could be solved using this sort of equation or this sort of method, then I mean that's also something that could be done. Is you could just have it like especially in like a resource database, you could have certain problems and then say like this problem is solved with these steps and this problem is solved with these steps, and that way people can do it kind of more passively. But basically there's sometimes I run into a problem where I'm like, okay, I do need to use something I learned previously that I haven't applied before, but that's pretty rare. It just sometimes I feel like sometimes you need to know a technique in order to speed up your like thinking process, so you don't have to slow down and then do a bunch of research into figuring out a proper technique for solving something. But I think that could definitely be done in like in a passive way without like being taught or doing anything mandatorily. You just need to have people be able to explore a bunch of different methods for solving different problems.
I saw your video originally on your dad's website, and I'm just curious, how did your parents take the fact that you did? I think it's your decision. You decided to unschool.
Hmm. Yeah, they were originally a little bit against it, but I think I mean they're pretty accepting. So and I had unschooled like twice in the past as well. So it was pretty like we had already done it, so they kind of already knew what was up. But I
And
gave them a plan of what I was going to do, and then they eventually said, "Yeah, that's all right."
um, so what were their original arguments against you doing these things? And I'm also curious, did afterward they get more and more convinced by just watching you do things, or?
Yeah. So the original arguments were that I don't think they were worried about me necessarily, but they're worried about job opportunities because of like I mean, I know you can still do a GED and stuff for high school, and you can still do SATs and whatnot to get like standardized test scores. But they're mainly worried about um, since I'm not learning every single thing in the school curriculum, I might do less well on something like an SAT, and then they're worried about that playing into job opportunities. However, for the jobs I want to get, I know a lot more jobs now are not requiring like any sort of test scores, and a lot more jobs are not requiring a college diploma anymore. But yeah, so that is what they're worried about. But yeah, for jobs I want to do, I kind of want to do freelance stuff a lot more than like working at a full normal job or anything in small studios and whatnot. So I don't feel like those types of jobs are necessarily going to care. They're going to care about portfolio a lot more, and I think my I can effectively build a portfolio that is convincing. Um, well, so in second grade, one of my teachers was like pretty negative. So it was my decision, but also at the time in second grade, and also when I left in third grade, because I left in second grade, came back for like half of third grade, and then the teachers in third grade were also really bad, and then I left again. So um, both times, my mom agreed with me. Both my parents agreed with me with what that I should do that. So my mom did have the idea, or like gave me the idea for homeschooling, or at least presented it as an option, and then that's how we kind of decided that we should do that and give it a try. So yeah, she already knew about it. I don't know exactly what she found out. Maybe she just looked it up or something. But um, yeah, so that's how I learned about it. Yes, that's true. And you know, it would be great if school told you that homeschooling was an option too, but I don't think it
They
does.
won't. They
Yeah.
just won't.
Keep it secret. They need the funding. Yeah.
Yes.
In third grade, yes. Um, I mean, so I think so. I took off the last half of third grade and then all of fourth grade. I knew that like not all the teachers were bad, which is why I came back in fifth grade, because like my first grade teacher was nice. My kindergarten teacher was medium nice. I can't really remember too well though. And then I know my friends that were still in school are saying that the fourth grade teachers were nice. So then when I came back in fifth grade, teachers were generally nice, and it was great. At the elementary school, we had a no homework policy, so nobody had any homework for the. I forget when they implemented it. It was sometime while I was homeschooling though. They got rid of homework, and then so it was a lot less stressful because I knew that I didn't have any homework there, and then yeah, it was also pretty easy because it was just fifth grade, and I'd gotten ahead in some things during homeschooling. Like during third grade, I went up to like I think sixth grade math on Khan Academy, but then I just stopped there because it was not fun anymore. So yeah, a lot of the first curriculum I did, like I didn't, we weren't really unschooling to begin with because we were kind of doing like we were still trying to do some curriculum from normal school, and I think like at the time I didn't really think about not doing the curriculum, but looking back, I would rather just do my own thing than doing this, trying to do Khan Academy and stuff. Even though like I'm happy that Khan Academy exists as a resource, it's still like teaching in a very standard traditional way.
I think most people go through that way. They start with the curriculum and then eventually discover they don't really need it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I never left to avoid homework specifically. In when I left in I guess ninth grade, my main concerns were with the just all schoolwork, not just homework. And I generally didn't really have too much homework because I was pretty good at doing it in between like classes and squeezing it in and stuff. So it wasn't necessarily to avoid homework; it's more just to avoid. It wasn't really to avoid anything, I guess. It was to go and do my own thing um because I didn't feel like it was effective anymore. Yeah, so I think that was a change in the motivation from the first two times, and definitely now because of that, I don't really have any reason to go back. Like in the first ones, I kind of had a reason because it's like, oh, now the teachers are not the same teachers anymore because we moved grades and whatnot, and then now I'm like, okay, I don't really care. Even if the teachers are nice, I'm still gonna not like it. So yeah, at the time, yeah, I think I was just thinking at the time that it was a temporary issue rather than a permanent issue because I only had a few years experience with school, so I didn't really know like is this how it always is or not. But yeah, yeah, I think I'll look at the script here as well, but I think that would be true. I definitely in reading. Yeah, yeah. I did used to read a lot of books. I don't read too many books anymore. Just because I have other stuff going on, and also I probably should be reading more books. But yeah, at the time I was reading a lot of books. And then I was also doing like during second and third grade, I wrote a few like little short stories and stuff. That were fun to write. And then yeah, so I think just all those things kind of combined into having a high level of reading. Yeah, and I think I was also a few grades ahead in math. And then during middle school, that kind of continued because I also wrote like a longer. I was planning on writing a full book in middle school, but I never finished it. Um,
What
so
was it about?
what was the book about?
Yeah.
It was about a sci-fi story about a society where hold on, let me find it in my list of tons of documents. Okay, never mind. I'll just remember. So it was about sci-fi society where there's a bunch of different levels to a big. So it's like the last city on Earth. The whole Earth has been destroyed by nuclear war. So there's one last city left, and it's kind of divided into like a class structure with different tiers. And my original idea was that there's like a just a rich area on the top, and then the guy, the main character, uh, is kind of, he was like staged to plan a rebellion that was a fake rebellion to make people think that stuff is like exciting, like keep everything kind of in circulation so people didn't get too complacent. Later on, I was thinking of changing it so the people were unaware of the other levels of the society. So it was kind of more of a like everyone was unaware of each other, and then but they still provided resources for each other. So it was basically the kind of concept was like, what if we were living in a future where instead of the lower classes being automated, like instead of like low skill jobs being automated away, you had low class jobs, but everyone still kind of had to work in them, and then they were just kind of kept secret from the other levels. So they thought they were like giving all of their resources to like a god or something, and then the next layer thinks that like some magical source is giving them resources, and then they convert it into other resources and give those away. So kind of just a bunch of separated societies that are working together, but they don't know that they're working together. They ironed out the exact, and that's actually kind of why I stopped writing it, is because I kind of was unsure about the way the like I wanted it to be a little bit more. I think it was a little bit too straightforward, so it was a little bit boring to begin with. But yeah, it was still fun to write, and I think it helped me write a lot. Although I think my documentary script ended up being just as long, so that was also another another thing. Yes. Yeah, everything I do, definitely I do it because I'm enjoying it, or at least I'm enjoying it. I will enjoy it as a whole. Like I definitely have done some things where I have to do like a boring part to get to finishing the project, but I always do projects just because they're fun, rather than because I'm trying to like specifically do something or specifically force myself to do something.
I don't think there's a way to force yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
I still haven't found it.
Yeah, for very long. I mean, you could definitely like say like I'm going to do all of the Khan Academy math course, and I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. And then you could probably do that for like one day, and then you'd give up after because you'd lose motivation. Yeah, can't do like a months long thing without wanting to do it. Yeah. So I met a few people through, I know I did go to like one homeschooling convention. We barely have any homeschooled people in our area specifically because it's like, I mean, it's not a small town, it's like a medium town, but there's just not very many people homeschooling. So, but I met one person, and uh uh then I was introduced to a bunch of other people who are also homeschooled just through like a kind of very long and convoluted chain of friendships. But eventually now I have like most of my friends, unfortunately, because there's not very many homeschooled people in my area, um, like the friends I have in the area, a lot of them are still from school. However, I have most of my friends, online friends. I have a lot of online friends, which we all met up recently for a week, which was very fun. But um, yeah, so I have like I don't know exactly the number, maybe like 20 online friends, 20 or more, that are all we're all on the same Discord server, and we've been talking for years now. So that's um that's been great. Yeah, I think definitely it's like you are going to see more people if you're going to regular school still. Like I think unless you have a really big unschooling or homeschooling community around your area, I think you are still going to have to sacrifice a little bit of social interaction, unfortunately. However, I think it's worth it. And you can still, the more things you go out and do, the more people you can meet. I'm quite introverted myself, and also should go out and do more things, like hypothetically, but I'm working on it a little bit. But there's not very many like groups that I know of in the close area, close proximity to me that do things I enjoy doing. So it's kind of hard to find a specific in-person group, but definitely online, it's been great. I know a lot of people online. Most people in friend group are 1 year older than me. Some people are 2 years. There's like one lobe of the friend group where people are like 2 years younger than me, but in general, it's within like a 2 year range. Um, we don't have any of those people in our group right now. I just think because nobody's like I guess nobody in the friend group has brought any people that are like way older into the friend group. Um, I mean, there's a few people that are 18 and one that's 19, I think, but other than that, not like any generation gap really. We're basically all in the same generation.
What's the server about? What is the server about?
Oh, the Discord server? It's just
Yeah.
a friend socializing server
Oh,
basically.
okay.
Like it's just I mean, we do I mean, since it's an online friend group, the main thing we do on there is play games, but um we also just all chill there, not necessarily playing the same games or anything, just in the in the call. Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Colorado. hmm It's like in the middle, um, right in the middle of the U.S. So, yeah, it's yeah, I think if I lived somewhere like with higher population density, I would definitely have like a better chance of having a homeschooling or unschooling group near me. Um, but I mean, we do have one, but I think it's small and generally it's homeschooling rather than unschooling, so it's kind of pretty different thoughts to what I like to operate off of. Although in my online friend group, most of my, not most, but like maybe like half of the people in the online friend group are unschooled. So, and then there are people who go to school still. And there's people from, we have people from like, um, I guess we're still all kind of on the west of the US, but we have some people in Canada, and then some people, a bunch of people just spread around the US kind of. So definitely not like a localized location. Like we're definitely not all from Colorado. Yeah, I think like in my town specifically, like there's probably not enough people unschooling that we could have like a good community, even if we got every single person unschooling. So maybe there's more in like nearby towns, but I think it depends on where you are. Because if you're in like a city, then obviously there's going to be a lot more people who potentially are unschooling there. Or if you're in a town that's just like has a higher concentration of unschooled people. So I think it definitely depends on where you live. But I think where I am, there's probably not enough to like have a full group, even if we got everyone.
I mean, what are you working on currently? Like you said, you want to work in small studios, or
Yeah, right now I'm working on an album, music album. A few other projects I've done recently was I made a product for Blender. I have which is the 3D modeling software. So I made a like a procedural texture for that. Where basic procedural textures are basically where you it's purely defined by math technically. Although I'm not writing like the individual bits of code. Blender has a node system that you can connect together a bunch of nodes, kind of like visual coding. So it's basically visual coding to make a realistic looking object or realistic looking texture. So I released a product that it's kind of like I feel like in order to fully explain it, it's kind of requires a longer explanation, but yeah, it just makes things more realistic and makes it easier to texture objects. So I released that as a product, and then I also did a Minecraft server, like a storyline based Minecraft server that's inspired by Subnautica, which is a very good game, and that was also a fun project. And then before that, I also did another documentary after my school documentary as well. So those are the kind of recent things I've been working on. So kind of a little bit all over the place, but you know, it's definitely, since they're all fun projects. So I've been happy working on them, and they're all like several months long per project, and I like doing big projects like that because you have a nice payoff when you're done with it. Yeah, so I definitely haven't gotten like the documentary got popular basically purely because my dad had it on his website. So that was kind of an external thing. So that was kind of cheating in a little bit. Since then, my most popular one has been my Minecraft one with 1.9K views, almost 2K now. But I definitely am not like getting like more and more views or like getting a ton of stuff just because I know I'm not focusing on like I'm focusing on what's fun, not necessarily. I haven't found like a single type of content that I feel happy producing over and over and over again. So I'm kind of a lot of this I'm doing for myself, and the payoff is kind of just me feeling like I've done this now. Now this is something I can say I've done, rather than a specific response. And there's nice comments and stuff, of course, but mainly like I find with YouTube, like you kind of have to do the same thing over and over again forever if you want to get like a uh, substantial following, just because there's so many channels on YouTube. So I never have my expectations very high at all for YouTube because I know that I'm not doing it in like an ideal way. But if I find something, like for example, if I continue like making albums and music videos, which is what I'm currently doing, then maybe I'll find that and I'll be able to keep doing that. But um,
Could you share
yeah,
share a video in general voice?
sure. Which one would you like?
I don't know
I'll send
anything.
a
I'm
few
just
then.
curious.
Yeah, I'll send you. Here, let me. So I can send you a trailer for. Send a trailer for the Minecraft server that I worked on, and then if
Thank you.
I go over here, I can also send like I can send the reveal trailer for my Blender product as well. So those are some of the. Yeah, they're a lot smaller though. So in terms of work, this one was probably like 10 times more than the other ones combined. Season 3 was so.
Did you do the animation too?
So I mean, I did the for the Minecraft one. There's at the beginning there's an animation which I did do. There's like the in Minecraft like ones I planned out like the keyframes and stuff, but it's not like in Blender or anything. It's just it's pretty simple. Just select 2 locations you want the camera to do, and then a external mod. I guess it's
And you
internal
built this
mod for
island?
stuff. Yes, the everything in the video was built in Minecraft by me and my friends. Although we're using extensive tools, so I used like procedural terrain generation in Blender, and then exported that into another program where I had it scatter all of the plants and stuff around, and then that's how we got like a huge map without having to build it all by ourselves, which would be very painful. But we did have to do quite. Mm-hmm. Um, kind of. I mean, I would like uh it's definitely more of like a art side and like kind of more like 3D modeling in terms of like the process of creating it. But I would consider it still playing Minecraft because I think you can in games a lot of the time. With the games I play, like I do lots of building games and creation games and like city making games and whatnot. So those are kind of like you're always kind of doing something somewhat similar to this vein. So I would still consider it playing Minecraft because that's kind of what I do in normal Minecraft anyway, just not to the same scale. I think people do have an innate ability to learn. However, I think you can apply like there's lots of strategies to learn how to learn better. Like I've definitely become faster at learning new topics since I've started learning new topics. So I know where to start more, and I know like what type of um, what type of things I should go about spending my time on when starting a new project and jumping in. So I think you have an innate ability to learn, but you can kind of get better like management and time management and project management skills. And that's kind of what I mean, like how to learn. Being taught how to learn is you kind of learn these strategies in order to effectively pick up information.
Were you taught how to learn?
Um, kind of like I feel like if any teaching on how to learn probably happened like very early on in like kindergarten and stuff, but I think I mainly taught myself how to learn things more. I don't think school really did it at all. So I think if school was focusing more on giving people like um helping people, I mean I know there's so many like project management like project management methods and whatnot that are interesting. I don't know which ones are the most effective, and it'd be different for different people. But um, for example, I like when I start a new project, I generally just kind of start by having like a very basic idea of what I want. Like for the Minecraft servers, I've learned throughout making a ton of Minecraft servers that it's nice to start with a map. You just get the very basic map, and then you start building some assets for it, and then you put the assets on the map, and then you since we're a team of people working on the Minecraft servers, and I have my friend working on the game mechanics just very early on prototyping the game mechanics. So we're kind of I feel like we've gotten a lot better at making the servers quickly because we know kind of the process on how to do it. And I think that's definitely can be applied to other things. For example, in Blender, if I want to make a complicated scene, the best thing to do first is to block it out very basically, just kind of get the basic shapes down, and then start adding more details and building specific assets for specific locations. So I think that's kind of that's one example of like a global thing of learning how to learn is you start off you jump right in. However, you start off kind of basic. You don't jump right in too far deep into like okay, I want to make this map, so I'm going to start by making trees. Like that's not the best way to start making a map. You want to start making a map by making a very basic outline of it. So I think kind of hard to explain, but I think I've definitely you can teach people to more effectively start new projects through certain methods. Yeah, I did definitely learn that way. However, I think it'd be nice if somebody with experience doing a server, uh, for example, let's say we're in a collaborative like education environment. If I was interested in a Minecraft server, what I might do is just ask somebody who's already working on a Minecraft server, can I jump in and just see how you're planning this stuff out? And then I would just join, see what they're doing. And I think that would help a lot more. Like I can learn it all from scratch, but I think it'd be nice if I could have some sort of resource that's just like, here's an idea of how to start. And then I'd be like, oh, that's an interesting idea. For like, I know that's a lot of that stuff applied to me for music. So I watched a lot of tutorials or for a long time. So I started making music when I was like 7. So I was very young and I didn't watch many tutorials and I just kind of went into it and started making it. And I think that was good to a certain extent because I'm pretty comfortable with the software now because I've been using it for so long and kind of jumped in. However, every time I watch tutorials on it, um, willingly, of course, then I get a lot more. There's like a bunch of techniques I wouldn't have even thought of doing for a long time that I immediately incorporated into my workflow. So I think it was a lot more helpful uh, having that resource there than trying to figure it out myself. So I think the same thing kind of applies to a lot of learning stuff. It's like if you have somebody teach you basic, because this is kind of separate from learning how to learn. This is more just like normal instruction stuff. But I think you can definitely teach people to the fundamentals of certain topics. Let me think about. I know there's, for example, in sound design and music, you have like a bunch of basic waveforms, and you kind of have to combine those to make interesting sounds. And I think it's good when one example of teaching somebody how to use that effectively, instead of teaching them how to make one sound and then another sound and then another sound, you teach them like, let's call this sound sounding cold. Like this sound sounds cold, the saw wave sounds cold, and then you're like, um, all right, now I'm gonna say this thing sounds warm, and then you're like, if you want like a medium warm sound, then you can combine these two sounds. So kind of explaining it from a that's kind of like a more abstract way of explaining it, but I think it's more helpful than teaching people just how to make single sounds, because then they really only know how to make one sound. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just, guess what I'm feeling. I guess it would still be self motivated. So I guess a more accurate thing, instead of being taught how to learn, it would be like teaching yourself how to learn. You just need the resources of how to learn more effectively, and then you teach yourself how to do that. So it's I guess that'd be a better way of saying it. Yeah. hmm There's
Yeah, I think
yeah. hmm
I think the basic issue is coercion versus no coercion.
hmm Yeah. There's I feel like it's so hard to um I believe that this is true, but it would be great if we could like it's so locked education's so locked down that it's so hard to like for example, I do not have access to a small child to try to teach something and then experiment with that. And I don't have an access to a classroom of small children to teach how to do something. So I think it's very hard to like for me to say exactly what things should be um like I feel like there's just some very basic things that like I don't know if how to get people learning everything. Like it might just happen naturally. Maybe that's the most likely thing, but
All kids
um
learn to talk naturally.
that's true. Yeah.
And I think these free schools like Sudbury Valley, they claim that also all kids learn how to read, and the the thing is, anything that people think should be taught is generally something uh, so frequent that people end up knowing it anyway. And the few things that people say, oh, you should learn it, but really it's not that important. No one use it. Like I don't know the quadratic equation. It turned out that it's just not that useful for most people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. It would probably work out the best just by kind of letting everyone have free reign. And then yeah, I guess the one thing is that I feel like I guess yeah. So what you could have is you could have like seminars that people choose to sit in on that have information about a bunch of different like softwares and topics and methods and stuff that they could use for a certain topic. Because I think there's so many things that I like, so many like softwares that I haven't learned about until very recently that are like so fun and so useful, and it's like that stuff sometimes can just get hidden away, buried under all the not good softwares. So yeah, it would be great if we had more resources specifically regarding those things. Like I knew about Blender for a long time, or maybe for a few years, but like if I had learned about it when I was like 10, I think that would have been extra fun because I think I would have started using it then instead of now. But yeah.
But you might get exposed to these things even quicker if, in some sense, no one is coming at you with a plan and you're just searching for things that interest you. You will quickly converge to communities with a congenial interests.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. Yeah, it's yeah, I guess you just need to make it as accessible as possible with all these different resources and all of this information. Just have it in like a very easy to use, even for like a small child, very easy to use place so they can just look and explore whatever they want. And I think that would be great if you could just have
I'm pretty
right now
sure
there's
all
yeah. Hmm.
all software makers want their software to be accessible and want people to use them.
Yeah. I feel like Google is very great and any search engine is like good to a certain extent for looking stuff up. Um, but I feel like we could do better, like for a resource catalog. Like I think something like that should be built rather than just a search engine because you can look up like I guess you could if I look up if I look up like software and stuff. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I looked up free 3D software. Then yeah, Blender's like actually not even. I have to scroll down to see it. So I think it's just kind of confusing, like even to me. If I look up like something on Google, there's like it doesn't. It would be great if I could look up free 3D software and then it was just like a bunch of like pictures of free 3D software and then and with like little descriptions next to them rather than a bunch of links. So I think for finding resources, something that's just portrays the information in a slightly different way than a search engine might be better. Because search engines are, I feel like they're the best for text. Like if you ask a question, you kind of see that in text right at the top. But if you look up another thing, then yeah. Yeah, I think with like it'll be obviously it'll be hard to know exactly for sure what will happen, but I think with AI we'll have a lot better searching. I know it's already used in search engines extensively. However, if you could make making like a specifically a thing for like educational resources and whatnot as like a AI thing, like it'd be great. For example, if I look up 3D software, you would just have a couple search options at the top. Like you could search by like price and it would automatically find like the prices of these various softwares and put them next to them, and then it would have like a short description and maybe like a demo video or something. So just have to like it would just like search through a bunch of different content and then find relevant things to each one and kind of categorize it in different buckets as opposed to a normal search engine where you look at it and then you're like, okay, here's one link for Blender, here's one link for a Blender tutorial, here's another link that has some more information about it, and you have to kind of click into them. So I think we could make a lot more information top level when you're searching things, and then it'd be a lot easier to search through a bunch of different topics if you have a very good summary of each topic at the top with like a lot more top level information. Yes, yes. And also like a lot of stuff I think could be explained a lot better. Like if I look at like a Wikipedia article for like quantum mechanics or something, like it's gonna be kind of hard to understand if you just jump in it and then start
It's
reading it.
horrible.
Yeah. So it's like if I look up quantum mechanics in like a magical ideal search engine, then it should say quantum mechanics, and then it'll have like a very simplified explanation next to it. And maybe it could even like you could even like store your information about how advanced you are. So next time you look up quantum mechanics, it would say something a little bit more advanced rather than just a basic thing. And yeah.
It doesn't help. I don't think it will help you. Um, so they just simple English Wikipedia just use more common terms, but the problem, if you want to understand quantum mechanics, is that there are prerequisites that you want to understand, and they're not at that page on Wikipedia, and it's kind of hard to know where exactly to begin. And this is where a textbook has an advantage, but it's just a choice that Wikipedia made. They choose not to be beginner friendly.
Yeah, I guess
But
you could
it's
have like you click on quantum mechanics and then it would give you like be nice if it could summarize the list of prerequisites. So it's like, here's quantum mechanics, it uses these things, and maybe like a tree graph or something, and then it has all those
exactly
things spreading out.
that would solve your problem. Already incorrect. The laws apply at all scales. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I guess it'd be a oversimplification rather than necessarily wrong. What you could say more accurately is uh it describes it at the scale smaller than atoms, like that's where it's visible, most visible, and then larger scales can be generalized using like general relativity or whatever, rather than because it still explains all scales. However, larger scales can be generalized more easily. But yeah, I think it's fine as a simplification for starters.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure I understand what you just said. That,
So like
but
that, it starts with a oversimplification and then goes more in depth afterwards through the full curriculum.
yeah, I'm not sure I like that approach that much. I would rather start with the correct thing right away.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could, like, it would start simplified, but it wouldn't be incorrectly simplified. So it'd say like it deals with it deals with all scales, but is most relevant to very small scales. And
That
then
statement is now correct.
I guess, I mean, it's most relevant to all of them because it describes all of them. But I guess I could just start. Let's start at a small scale, and then it would just say that. So then you would first look at small scales, and then you would go up to larger scales and how it applies to everything afterwards. I'm sure there's like a way to still keep it simplified while making correct statements. Is what I'm saying. Um, um,
Well,
mm,
the thing is, it's not that complicated. It has just a few axioms, and if you really want to learn it, once you have the mathematical prerequisite, you could learn the basic rules in 2 hours.
yeah, but I feel like it has to be simple enough to understand. So if somebody wants to learn quantum mechanics, they look at it and then they know to a basic enough extent to say this is interesting, this is something that interests me, and then they can go and learn the prerequisite. Because you shouldn't expect them to know the prerequisite before they get interested in quantum mechanics, unless they're interested in the prerequisite specifically. Because otherwise, you'd have to teach them the prerequisite some other way without them being interested in it, which wouldn't work.
Yeah, in my case, I got interested in quantum theory after I knew the prerequisites.
Yeah, I yeah. Okay, I was gonna say like I have not done all the prerequisites for quantum mechanics, obviously, but I know from just reading and watching random things, I think I still know. I don't know how it works, but I know uh, uh, kind of roughly what it means, and I'm like, I know enough about it to have like an okay understanding of it, essentially, without necessarily knowing all the equations and prerequisites for it. Like, I wouldn't know how to do quantum mechanics, but I know what quantum mechanics is to some extent. That is not fully, definitely. Yeah. Mhm. So yeah, I think you definitely. So if I wanted to go learn in quantum mechanics, then I would probably start at the top and say, okay, here's quantum mechanics as a whole. Now let me find the things that make it up and go into each individual prerequisite. However, yeah, I don't really know. I don't have like a tree to tell me what the prerequisites are, so it'd be kind of hard to figure it out.
Yeah, for that, maybe you have to ask someone to give you the tree. Wikipedia doesn't give the tree, but anyone work in the field can give you a tree quite easily.
Yeah, we just need to have that. So, uh, in like a resource database, you would have the simplified Wikipedia article or whatever, and then you would have the tree that the person gave you for pretty much all the subjects that you could get. Because wouldn't take that much work to get all of these trees all set up, and I think that'd be very useful if you could just have a nice thing that you could click around and then click on a different
Wikipedia
part and
could
it'd
totally do that.
yeah, that'd be great.
Honestly, I don't like Wiki University. Part of the reason is they want to create a textbook and like place a textbook in a wiki, and that's not how people learn at all. It's more like just a okay. I just found it, um, and
It does
it's
have
organized as a
prerequisites.
course, and that's not how people learn anymore. There might be stuff. There's a lot of stuff, for instance, I don't care about, like the hydrogen atom or molecular orbital theory.
Yeah,
No, no, but they still try to create it like a course.
yeah, it is definitely like a course. Yeah, it does have a prerequisites section though, which I'm streaming right now. Has
Yeah,
a which is nice. It's not in a very user friendly way though. Like having a list here is like it'd be great if I was like, okay, now I look at complex numbers and then I have two prerequisites for that. So yeah, I agree that it's like it's useful. Um, yeah, it has some useful information for sure. It's just not I would prefer it to be a little bit more readable because it's still like you know. So I would definitely have like some better formatting with maybe some different colors. Like I just think like nice website design can apply to uh, Wikiversity as well. So not necessarily like um, I've, I bet you could simplify the text a little bit, but mainly like splitting it up. Like you'd have background of quantum theory and then have that like in one column and then have this text under it in another column and then have like a nice picture behind it and have like I don't know. I think just kind of hard to read in this way. Yeah, it's, yeah. I think cosmetics are very important for understanding things. Um,
um, I I'm not sure. For me, it's not important. I can guess other people find it more readable, but I'm more interested in the structure, the way the text is structured. And I just don't like that they try to recreate a linear structure when our interest might be not that linear. It's I would prefer if the, you could start right away in the middle for something that interests you, and you look at the page, and it's like, oh, here are the prerequisites, which is the page you need to read before that, and that's it. Not to have like global prerequisite, but really localized prerequisite where every single unit tell you the exact notions you need instead of this kind of global amorphous thing.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, so you'd have like PDEs would link to the partial differential equations page, and then this would link to that. I guess
To give a
normal one kind of has that, but not as much. Yeah.
to give an example, as someone who's a postdoc working in the field of quantum theory, I don't solve differential equations. I don't use integrals either.
Yeah, it's not necessarily required for everything. Yeah, I feel like
No,
normal Wikipedia does a lot better job than Wikiversity here, where you have like, if you have like a thing, then you can just, it says quantum mechanics differs from classical mechanics in that energy, momentum, angular momentum, and those are all links, and then you can click on those, which is nice. So I think
it's a lot better. I
it's
agree,
better.
and I think that the reason is just they try to take this bad course structure and impose it into something that is already better, namely Wikipedia.
Yeah, I could see that. Yes, for sure. Yeah, if you had a quantum chemistry and then you had a video on that also with this link here, that would be nice. I like how Wikipedia gives you definitions when you hover over them, though. Although it'd be
Oh,
cool
that's
if the
good.
definitions also had links in the definitions, and then you could like continue opening them up forever. That'd be fun. Yeah, although I think it would be a little bit of a, it's just smoother if you can do it all in one workflow without having to break your workflow to like go over and then search quantum chemistry and then find the correct video and then watch it. I think it's a lot easier if you hover over this and then you're like, okay, here's a, now there's a scrolling list of videos that I can scroll down and click on one, and then it'd open it in like a mini side play or something. Um, that way you don't have to. It'd just be kind of like a. I feel like a lot of stuff could be made better just with like better UI and better like workflow kind of, because workflow is not too important if you're just looking up just quantum chemistry, but if you're doing it like 500 times on the same page, then you kind of need to have a good workflow or else you're wasting a lot of time. So like, yeah, I think I've made a few simple websites, but I think it's a lot. I don't know if you guys are watching my stream, but
Yes.
okay, yeah. So here's my like installation page for my for figuring out how to play on this server, my Minecraft server. So every step is I try to keep it as simple as possible. And then like, even though this is very simple steps for somebody who knows how to install things, I think like having this with tons of pictures and nice long spacing and like somewhat visually okay is a lot better than if I just took all these steps and then deleted all the pictures and then put them right next to each other in small text. Like, people would not understand that as much as
It's
all
well
of
made for
these.
sure.
Oh, and I also have top links here, so right away you can be like, okay, I already have Java, I just need to get Optifine, and then, because if I look at the published site, it'll be easier to see, but yeah, then I'm like, okay, I don't install this, oh, it takes me there, has a banner here, I can get all the way down here. Yeah, and then I made sure also like the download link for Optifine here, this is like an external mod thing. Or I guess I did it for Java. So on Java, I have go to Java, and then if you click on this, it won't just take you to the Java download page. It'll actually download the actual file directly from this page. So I think just little simple things like that could be applied to something like a full Wikipedia article to make it a lot more readable and user friendly. I just feel like there's kind of a separation between like user friendly and then like academics in general, like a lot of like with research papers and stuff too, same thing, where it's like, if you understand it, great, you understand it, now you can read it in whatever form this is. But if you're coming into it, it just feels very like unfriendly and it makes you want to turn away. Meanwhile, that's why like every large company in existence has like the most simple websites ever, because you just go in, it has like big concepts, and basically anybody can understand it, and that makes them get more customers because people are understanding it. So I think some of those things could be applied to education, where you don't have, I mean, the same thing goes for all like software we use in school, like the math software and stuff. It's like, and textbooks and whatnot. It's like, it's very user unfriendly, because it's just a wall of text essentially, without you having breaking things up and making it super easier. Quantum realm redirects to quantum mechanics. It's funny.
Most academic articles are not that legible. Often it's a hunt. You want to understand something, they refer you to other articles that refer you to other articles, and then you hit the paywall, and then you can't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, and there's like, for example, if I look at like Google Scholar, and then if I look at quantum mechanics, and like I would expect Google Scholar to be like, okay, now I'm really trying to go in depth on this, and then I'm like, I just immediately cry when I see this page come up, and then I'm like, oh, okay, what's this?
You should cry.
Now it starts with giant 715 table of contents, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I'm not reading that. And then yeah, so I think, I mean, obviously this is Google Scholar, but this is just showing like the more academic you get, the less user friendly it gets, because every single thing is a like 900-page book now, apparently.
No, there are also these illegible articles.
Hmm. Yeah, so unless you have a very deep understanding of all prerequisites, you can't understand any of these things. So I feel like we need to definitely separate illegibility from being something related with academics.
Okay, but what bothers me is that even if you're in the field and you come across something slightly new, all you have is reference upon reference upon reference, and it's really like a labyrinth to just find at some point the basic point. And part of the problem I see is that the academic world has the article format, which is completely outdated compared to a wiki, or compared to that would uh, refer you at some point to the basic concepts. These articles, uh, they have reference upon reference, and each article try to introduce ideas, but there's not like a global place that explain the basic concepts.
Yeah. I think it's also like kind of now it's getting like a circular thing, where it's like school teaches you to write essays and write in this very like formal old way, and none of that's very legible. And then school also gives you those things written by people who used to go to school on these things. So that's the only content that exists anymore, except for now stuff like YouTube is starting to break that cycle, where you have like um, Kurzgesagt videos and stuff, and then these are the ideal videos, in my opinion, because they're very nicely animated, simple, introductory, and they do have a sources and further reading thing over here, and it's relatively nicely formatted here. Um, mm-hmm. Like this is great, because it's like first of all, very easy to understand YouTube video, and then this is pretty normal, like plain understandable English here, where you're reading relatively, and that's great, because this is like normally YouTube videos just have a sources document where it's just a big list of links, but this actually has sources and then explanations for every single thing, as well, with pictures, which is great. Although I think it could still be made a little bit more pretty, but it's not bad. Yeah, I can put this. I'll put the YouTube channel. I guess that's the video. Hold on, let me get the full get the full channel better. And then here's the example sources page for one of the videos, but every video has one of those. And they have a lot, but luckily this, I guess I'm on my alt channel, that's why I'm not subscribed. Let me switch back. Yeah, I have, and then I need to go back to Kurt's consent. Yeah, so they have 18.7 million subscribers, so obviously they're doing very well off of these videos, so I think that's very great. Yes, and they also have channels in other languages too, which is nice. Like they fully post all of their videos with different voice actor and all of the text changed, which is much better than just having the subtitles for other channels.
Yeah, but you will only get very general topics for that, just because the cost of production.
They have every single one of their videos on there for their two languages. I wonder if I can. So if I just look it up as a thing again, if I find the channel, I think it says YouTube's kind of weird where it says the videos. It's like here, 159. So quite a lot. And yeah, so I mean they have enough resources to make it in these other languages, obviously, but it's great that they do. And then I don't know if they've done every single one of their videos, although that kind of looked like 159 actually. This looks, I don't know, looks roughly the same. So it's weird how you can't see the amount of videos in like the stats section. They should really add that. YouTube has been making weird decisions. Although I do like how they added the the replay bar at the bottom of videos where it says where people replay the video most from. Especially useful for skipping sponsors. hmm So yeah, this is, I think stuff like this is great. Where you have all these high quality things. Although, yeah, I still wish this was like a little bit more formatted, but obviously they can't spend infinite time on it. With more funding, they could do that. Yeah, I think a lot of it's just about making stuff fun to read. Like stuff's gonna be fun to read if it looks fun. So, why not make it look fun? Yeah, I wonder if I'm trying to think of like an example of a website that has like really good information, but it's formatted nice, but there's not too many. Also interactive demos are really good, like, of things. There's like I forget what it was called. This is probably something similar though. Interactive demos are great for things like that. If this ever loads. Okay, so here's a size comparison thing. This is not the one I was thinking of. Nice logo, nice logo. I approve. Oh yeah, so this one is like this, oh my god, so many pop-ups, please. Okay, this website's not super good, but it's alright. Yeah, there's a really, oh, I forget the, I know it was made by a.k.a. Maybe I'll find, there we go. England. I'm not British. Oh well, guess it's British now. Yeah, so it's this website, which you may have seen before because it was very popular at one point. Very old website, but it's very nice because I remember using this a lot because it just compares all of the structures just like this, and you can just zoom out forever.
I guess there's an end.
Yeah, it gets to observable universe.
Yeah.
And then it goes,
And then there's like Planck scale.
yeah, it ends at Planck scale.
Yeah.
Quantum foam. Yeah, and there's so much like this is great because it's also just a bunch of random stuff that you're like, oh, what's that now? It's weird how many there's so many like orders of magnitude before the before you get to Planck length. Anyway,
lengths shorter than. Sorry, can you go back? Lengths shorter than this are not confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay,
some
I'm
of
not
these
sure
probably have been confirmed, but yeah. So I mean, it's quite old. I know Kurt's cassette actually did like their own version of this on like something or other. Oh, maybe it was linked in this video. Hold on. I don't think so. Oh yeah, they
I know
also
something badly organized with good information. Supermemo.guru.
Oh, and also has descriptions for every single thing too. I forgot about that. Amazing. But yeah, so you have all the descriptions of various things in case you're interested. I think so because like this is a lot of the high quality stuff like I've stumbled upon. Like I mean, I think one of the good examples of that they will use it is like there's so many subscribers on these educational channels, and there's like there's some more like Wendover over here, 3.48 million. So there's the educational YouTuber space is very large, and then there's of course like classic videos like the entire history of the world, I guess, by Bill Wirtz with yeah, the classic 145 million. So like stuff like this I think shows that yes, people will find it and they will use it if it's interesting enough. And I know this website was very, very popular back in the day. So you kind of have he does music now, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, in my ideal school scenario, you wouldn't have forced to go to class. You would just be a class would be available like a central gathering spot for people to go to, which would be more convenient. Uh, however, you could stay home, although you would have. I mean, like I can see concerns about like if everybody that could take care of you at home is like going to work or not. Like we can put a certain amount of trust in kids, but you can't put infinite trust in kids. So at some point, you might need to say you need to go to a centralized location, but definitely like more reasonable hours. It would be kind of hard to determine because it's kind of a tricky issue with if we reform school and don't reform work. Although I would also like to reform work, of course. However, if parents are still going to a day job and then the kids are staying home all day, like if they can stay home all day, they might do bad things.
I think in some sense you were able to reform your own way of schooling yourself, and you're reforming your own way of working. You're like, I guess you're not going to end up in an office. You'll probably work from home for what you want to do. So things tend to be self-reforming.
Yeah, but I think the main thing is that like both my parents were retired and are still pretty much retired, right? So then you have like I could stay home all day at a young age because my parents were there and they were comfortable with me being at home. But then if they were doing like day jobs, I don't think it'd be feasible for me to stay home all day, at least in their mind, right? Like it might be fine, it might work out great,
No, but
but
you
no.
could go to a democratic school.
Yes, I think I'm just saying, like, I don't think we can fully remove a requirement to go to a physical location, but we can remove a lot of other requirements um, from it. Yes. Yeah, that's true. Mhm. No, they would not have. I don't think they would have agreed even in high school if they were not uh, working from home slash retired. So, and I think that's a very big problem with a lot of parents is that like they want somebody looking after their kid, but the only way to do that is really like going to a school. So you kind of like you can't really unschool while doing that without having somebody home or like an older sibling or something. I think unschooling is more common in like large families, but I'm not sure about that. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah, but I also think that one thing that might make this easier is that it's getting easier and easier to do your work from home most of the time for
Yeah,
most people.
I think
Uh,
that's a very good change. Is that we should also make it so uh, it's easier to look after people at home. And I think given the chance of going to an ideal school location, like almost all the days the children would go because it's I mean I agree it's fun like talking to other people and having like a fun location. I just like I like the socializing aspect of school. I just didn't like the work. So I think a lot of people would agree and would end up going. Uh, but it would also be the main thing I'm thinking about is like if they want to go at like after lunch or at noon or something, that should be fine because start times are terrible right now, and work like day job start times are like better, but they're still not like ideal. So it's like especially with commute times factored in. So then you kind of have a problem like, how do we get the parents comfortable with their children going to school later if they're leaving before their child is? And that would require people working at home or at least one parent working from home or something. Unless, I mean, I think also more trust should be placed in kids, especially after certain times, like later in the year. And if you place trust in people, they generally tend to trust you back more. So I think that's kind of a thing that's missing in schools, like mutual respect and stuff, because you don't really have respect for the school or for the teachers, and they don't really have respect for you because you're doing things. And I think that definitely causes people to want to purposely do things to make a teacher's life hard, right? So uh, I think a lot of these issues would be fixed kind of by that, but there would still be some things to work out with like having everyone be able to go home at any time, which I think is kind of important.
yeah, these democratic schools they have that you can go at the hours you want.
Yeah, it was just that like the parents probably wouldn't agree for their children to come home in the middle of the day while they're not there. A lot of parents would not like that, and thus would not send their children to the democratic schools. And then you're kind of having an issue
But
there.
I think a lot of this will change as we can work more and more from home. In my case, I work mostly from home,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
everything I can do by email, I do by email, and I do my meetings from home and everything like that. And in my case, I have a normal job, so
Yeah, I think we should definitely have full job flexibility. It'd just be like you kind of have a problem where you're like trying to reform two things at the same time. Although for any school reform to happen, it's gonna have to be like I don't even know how to really begin. One of the main problems being that since parents decide where their children go to school, it's not based where people go to school and which schools receive funding is not based off of any sort of like children experience, maybe like very slightly if the parents listen, but it's going to be a lot based off of the schools saying that they have a good curriculum in a convincing way, and then the parents are like, yes, this must be a great school, and then they send their children to the school even if it's bad, which it almost always is. So
I, I think as we change how we view learning, change other change can come, and the fact is that technology does change how we view learning. For instance, now you have internet, so you have access to information at your fingertip from home, and the this might lead to social shifts.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I think it would be a good start is just to convince people that current learning is bad, because while a lot of children agree that current learning is bad, and even a lot of teachers agree, I feel like not enough parents agree. So
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of
at some
hard.
point, the people that are currently children will be parents.
Yeah, but I think
Hopefully,
they forget about they tend to remember the parts where they're like having fun with friends and stuff rather than remembering the parts where they didn't like doing the work, and then also thinking since they got a job afterwards, um probably especially if they went like fully down like all the way down to college, then they're thinking like, okay, maybe it wasn't the best, but it was the best for me. Like they still, and I think the system also convinces you of that. It's like it constantly tells you like you have to do this. It's better for you than doing other things. So then you think as a parent, you tend to think like, okay, I didn't really like school, but it was the best thing for me, and I'm glad I did it because it was the best thing for me, even though it's not the best thing for them, and they don't have any like data to back that up because they only did one thing. They didn't do both, so they don't know it's the best thing for them. Um, but yeah, I think you kind of tend to forget. Like even now after unschooling, like I obviously remember that I didn't like school, but it's not like constantly on my mind like it was when I was in school. Like I'm not constantly stressed about things, and I'm not constantly thinking about having to do the next thing. So it feels less bad than when I was actually there. Remembering back to it. And yeah, I think that was kind of the same thing happened the other times I homeschooled as well. Is like, and that was one of the reasons why I went back is because I didn't fully really know how bad it was. Remember how bad it was, I guess.
in my case, I started being interested in learning on my own after having been done with every courses and all my exams. And I think that might be the case for other adults in the sense that once you're done with your diplomas, if you're interested in ways of learning, you might rediscover what learning is like. And maybe at some point, these people will have kids and
Yeah, there's definitely a larger amount of people unschooling now. I think it's definitely spreading a little bit, so that's good to see. It's just we kind of need to it's important, like you can either teach kids or adults. It might be easier to teach kids more things about learning through like I mean there's quite a few YouTube channels that are fully anti-school now, which is or YouTube videos which are fully anti-school now, which is great.
um,
And then
can you
yeah,
give us some channels you like
yeah,
on
so I
platform?
like Kurt's Gazette here, and then I have did show you some other ones earlier, but I watch Wendover sometimes. This is like kind of a logistics-ish channel. Like that's kind of what it's about. And you can see some of the things here. Um, then there's also the same person makes another channel half as interesting, which is like very short, kind of like funny explanation videos, but they're just about random weird topics. So this is less like in depth on things, but they're kind of interesting. Then there's sometimes I watch Real Engineering. I mean, I don't watch. It depends on the time because right now I'm not watching too many YouTube videos in general. Um, but this is also good stuff. And then I feel like Kurzgesagt is like the most uh, Gesagt, there we go. It's the most like general videos that I've found really on like kind of the best explainer ones. Then I'm trying to think of others. I feel like, I mean, there's so many small channels I can't really remember them all because YouTube just, after a while, YouTube just starts recommending you new channels, like because these are all Kurzgesagt, but YouTube recommends you new channels sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. It's quite a wide variety of different channels, but those are the main ones I would say for learning things. But if you like, as like, you could also like kind of tune it by like starting a new account. You can just make new accounts on YouTube, or I guess no, you couldn't really open it in an incognito tab, but yeah, you create a new account and then you start watching educational videos from various channels, and then it'll start recommending more because that's the only thing it knows you're interested in. And then you could have like a full account just with like educational videos only recommended to you, rather than watching everything on one account. Although that is what I do, watch everything on one account, but I could imagine it being useful because yeah, YouTube unfiltered is somewhat gross. Oh my god. But if I wonder if it'll like how quickly it'll I spelled it wrong again, whatever. How quickly it'll adapt if I like
After saving with
just do that and then oh, I see. Yeah, hold on. I'll just do my whole screen here. So yeah, if you can you see it now? Okay, so yeah, now I've clicked on 2 Kurzgesagt videos. Now every single video in the recommended is also Kurzgesagt. And then if I may click on some TED Ed videos, more TED Ed videos. Now it's all TED Ed. If it doesn't know what you like, then it'll be very susceptible to things. Very susceptible for you clicking on things. And now just by clicking on these, I'm kind of getting videos by creators that I already know. Seems like an interesting video. Anyway, yeah, so just all these, now my recommended is more educational videos. Like there's a lot more educational channels in here that are interesting, although now it's I assume I've clicked on a SpaceX video because now it's all SpaceX. But yeah, I mean, after, I feel like you can pretty easily get to an interesting recommended if you just start like a new channel and then start clicking on interesting channels, and you can find a lot through that.
Never tried that. I will try it.
Yeah, oh yeah, here's some oversimplified. I know a lot of these channels now, although it's also still somehow sneaks Minecraft in there. Minecraft's too popular. It transcends no matter what your recommended is. Yeah, this seems to have been going well. I think this is a good recommended if you're interested in any of these videos here. Now if I go back to the home page, okay, maybe it didn't save the cookies, but for a while there it was going good. I think it's because I'm on an incognito, so it's not actually saving the full data of everything. But yeah, these all seem like very interesting videos. So yeah, sometimes you'll click on one and every single recommendation is from the same channel, which is funny. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be great if like this was like a preset on YouTube. Like you could set it to like educational, interesting videos, and then you're like, you just click that as a preset, and it would just automatically recommend things along the same vein. Or maybe when you start a YouTube account, like you click on a few interesting videos to start off with, and that way you'd start with good recommendations rather than whatever the default YouTube recommendations are, which are always very terrible. Um, but yeah, not bad. There's also oh yeah, I mean, you guys have probably heard of Vsauce, but
Yeah.
yeah, Vsauce is great. And then there's Vsauce 2 and Vsauce 3, which are also good. Um, Vsauce 3 has um some let's see, if I go to most popular, the Could You Survive the Movies thing is great because it's like it's a YouTube original. They actually got rid of YouTube the YouTube originals have stopped being a thing now, which is kind of sad. But the fun thing about this is that it's all filmed like it's a movie, and it's an explanation about could you survive this movie. So it has some. I mean, it is still like educational content, but it's it's very interesting because it's like in context with the movie. So I think it's very fun to watch those. Yeah, lots of good stuff. Um, what's this? True size of. I don't know when this. I think I open. Oh, I see. This is this website. I remember this website. This one's fun. Oh yes, beautiful. That's somewhat strange. I don't know why it does that. Flips around. Be the entirety of the map. If you put the U.S. down, or if you put China down here. Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of weird that it like swaps completely here. I guess it just gets infinitely long, and that's what happens. Mm-hmm. Hmm. See, how do I? Maybe I have. Do I have to look up Canada in order to move it? I think I do. Yes. Perfect. Hmm.
Yeah, quite
Russia's.
different.
Yeah. Some more.
I've seen a globe. Yeah, you need to view. It's better to view a globe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, China and the U.S. are pretty similar. It's remarkable how small India is, given the population. But yeah, yeah. I was just from looking up trying to find that one zooming in thing. What's this link? What is the drams as a search thing? Must turn off all of the cookies. Okay, fantastic. Um, drams. Glad to know that 187.14 drams is 2/5 as big as an ostrich egg. That's good info. Though. Yeah, I guess this is let's look up like sure I'll try your 387 hours. Let's see what it compares it to. I guess it's not very helpful. Don't know why it asked me to look that up. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Has a bunch of funny comparisons here. Not exactly super helpful, but unfortunately, I don't think they have a link to the Battle of Fort Sumter. That'd be a permanent link. Ah, that's unfortunate. It'd be great if that was linked. And now we're just at random pages I'd open. All right. Let's see. What else is interesting? No. Yeah, any other questions? Anybody
No,
else?
I think uh, it's been 2 hours. I will go soon.
All right.
But thanks a lot for coming here. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.